Hi everybody, it's Howard here from Mental Architecture. I am making a video today to share my thoughts and feelings with you about the Saugus High School shooting. I found out about this through text messages that were sent to me on the morning of, and I was just absolutely floored. I mean, I felt like somebody punched me in the gut. I never imagined something like this would happen at my school that I went to. I went to Saugus High School from 1994 to 1998. Back then, you would never even imagine something like this happening. Like the worst thing I think we had to deal with was probably a bomb threat or something like that. I mean, that's bad. It's definitely not, nothing. But to the things that kids now have to deal with are just absolutely beyond me. And I just can't even believe what happened in Saugus and that it even could happen there. Um, but when something like this happens so close to home, it really hits you hard that we definitely have problems that we have to deal with um, as a community and as a society. And I feel like, I have a background as a teacher. I teach students for a living, teach math, and I started out as a very strict teacher. And over the years, I've definitely softened up quite a bit. And I think a lot of that just has to do with understanding that every person comes to school with special needs of their own. We don't know what those needs might be or what kind of backgrounds our students come from. Um, Sometimes, as a teacher, you're the only one that um, gives them the kind of attention that they seek. They only get it from you. They only get it at school. They only get it from their peers. And I've had a lot of students open up to me over the years about some of the hardships and struggles they faced, either immigrating here and basically starting with nothing, or coming from abusive families, living paycheck to paycheck, working two jobs, commuting like 100 miles. Yeah, I've had some students who've commuted that far. And it goes on and on and on. And this is at a college. And I can only imagine that at high school, we have a lot of kids that definitely have struggles that come to that school, and whether it's Saugus High School or another high school anywhere else, and they just feel so alone, and or they feel misunderstood. And I think that as educators, it's important for us to be very sensitive to our students, and I have made it a point to try harder and harder as the years go by to increase my listening skills and to just be there for my students. When I was in school, when I was going to Saugus, actually a lot of my teachers um, were pretty strict with me, and that's I think where I learned it. But I also had some very compassionate teachers as well, some of whom are still at that school to this day. And I just don't understand. Like I don't know why this shooting happened. I don't think anybody does. Anybody ever will know why. I have been absolutely amazed by how the community in Saugus has come together, and people have been flying in. I mean, I actually really wanted to go fly in there this weekend, but I can't make it. Um, but people are flying in for a vigil that's happening on Sunday, and I'm just absolutely blown away by the messages and the posts that people have made across all kinds of different Facebook groups. Um, we come from just an incredibly intact community, so um, there are no positives that come out of something like this. Two young people lost their lives that day, and there's nothing positive about that. But it's really amazing to me to see how our community has pulled together after this, and how Saugus High School alumni and friends have started to create a movement. And that's one of the things I loved about going to that school, is that my fellow students were just really talented, amazing individuals, and a lot of them have gone on to do some incredible things in their personal and professional lives. Some of them are parents like myself. Some of them work for very successful companies, and wow, people from all over the country have been coming together because we all went to Saugus, and we don't want to see our community fall apart over an incident like this. And let me tell you, that was my first thought. Was like, wow, this is like, what is this going to do to this community, these families. Like I just felt so bad for everyone. But what happens afterwards, you know, you have to find a way to move on as a community and as a school. And so I just wanted to share my gratitude and my appreciation for everybody who's posted, shared memories, pictures. This has been a very emotional week for myself. I'm sure it's been just as emotional for everyone else, whether you are an alumni of that school or you didn't even go there and you just heard the news. I read somewhere that this was like the 366th mass shooting. This has to stop. I don't, like I said, when I went to school in the 80s and 90s, I don't remember anything like this. And I started teaching in the early 2000s, and I also don't remember anything like this until, recently in the past few years, there's been such an uptick in this kind of violence. And I feel like as a society, we're kind of regressing backwards into some kind of dark age. But what this experience has also showed me is that there are a lot of people out there who, in times of crisis, will get together, come fly in from other states, pull their resources together, and do what they can to make the world a better place. And so I just really want to give a shout out to all those people. Give a shout out to the people who were the first responders on the scene that prevented more casualties from happening and took care of the people who were injured. My heart is with Saugus. I'll always be proud to be a Centurion, and I hope that we can move past this, learn from it, and prevent something like this from happening again, not just at Saugus, but in other places too. I hope we can lead through an example of what a community can still do in this age of social media. Social media hasn't been a bad thing for us. In some ways it has, but it's allowed all these people to come together. I just wanted to just say thank you again to everybody, and I look forward to seeing all the pictures from the visual on Sunday. Thank you very much.